Does threatening North Korea with potential of nuclear war constitute incitement to violence, harassment, intimidation? Because a lot of people argue that the sort of stuff that President Donald Trump has been saying on Twitter really does break the rules of Twitter. And yet, this week, Twitter made the unusual step of announcing publicly, normally they don't talk about individual accounts, they made the unusual step of saying that they would not be kicking Donald Trump off Twitter. So in effect, they've actually broken their own rules. Why? To discuss this, we have our panel this week. Ariel Bogle is the technology editor of The Conversation, and Peter Marks is the technology editor for RN Breakfast right here on the ABC. He also works with GovHack. So why did Twitter break their rule?
Well, strictly speaking, he has broken their terms of use. They've got a list of rules that include you're not allowed to have hate speech, you're not allowed to be harassing, you're not allowed to make violent threats against people, and they have banned people in the past. So strictly speaking, Donald Trump should be banned from the platform. But I think their reasoning is that he's newsworthy, and so whatever the president says is sort of on the public record.
The fact that there's a separate rule for famous people, which is essentially all that boils down to, is garbage. They kicked off Milo Yiannopoulos, who is a very famous alt-right person, who is also newsworthy. He's in the public eye. Why is kicking off Milo Yiannopoulos okay and Donald Trump not okay, Ariel Bogle?
Because he's the elected leader of a whole country. Right. I suppose that's the greater reasoning. I think the word newsworthiness that they used was a bad one to use. I don't think they should have said that he's newsworthy because, of course, everything that the president says in public creates a news story, and especially this president. They should have said there needs to be exceptions for people that are the leaders of countries or the leader of political movements. I think that would have been a better strategy for them because the word newsworthy has confused the situation a little bit, I think.
I think it would have been a lot better if they'd just come out and been really honest and said, when we wrote our terms of service, we didn't expect the leader of the free world would be calling for nuclear war on our platform, and maybe we need to adjust that. And that's at least just be honest about it.
Twitter has been in a bit of a stagnation in their growth in the last few years, but
stagnation is polite. I would actually argue backwards, but anyway.
Maybe, but they did grow. In first quarter this year, they grew by about 2 million active users, and the reason is Donald Trump. So they really don't want to shoot themselves in the foot. They've got a person who's actually thinking out loud, a leader of the free world, who's thinking out loud on their platform. I mean, that is just solid gold, and of course they're not going to take him off.
There's an inherent sort of dichotomy there, right? So Jack Dorsey, the founder and creator of Twitter and who's back in the CEO position now, is like famously left-wing, woke sort of personality who is really active and supporting things like Black Lives Matter. This is the most progressive human being in the world, but the fact that they are reliant on President Trump to kind of keep interest in their platform alive. But don't you find that bizarre?
Well, if there's going to be a debate, I guess you might as well have it on your own platform. Actually, interestingly, Jack Dorsey himself was banned in November 2016 and he lost 2.9 million followers. It turned out it was an accident. It was some sort of internal thing that went wrong, but he was actually off there for a little while himself.
Why? How did that?
It was an internal accident.
Oh my
Someone was hovering over the button. And
I feel like that story just tells you everything you need to know about Twitter. Apologies, I do know some people that work at Twitter Australia listen to this show. Yeah. Sorry, your organisation's crap.
I mean, too, it's very clear that Twitter's terms of service was not built to sort of deal with the situation where somebody's calling for the murder of millions of people, say an entire country like North Korea, versus individual threats against, say, a feminist blogger receiving threats from the hordes of Milo Yiannopoulos.
It's fair to say American democracy wasn't quite prepared for that either.
No, nobody was prepared.
But Ariel, I mean, Trump has done that individual harassment too. I forget the woman's name, but there was a woman, he said that she was still bleeding from a facelift at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, that was in the debate, though, I think. Or did he say that on Twitter too against
I think he did.
One of a breakfast host? He's certainly directed vitriol at individuals too.
You can't imagine a more vitriolic, direct harassment. It actually hits all the bases, really. It's just hideous and apparently not true at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Twitter's sort of highly selective application of their rules aside, if you were in charge, would you kick off Donald Trump?
If I was a business person, then no, I would put him up there. I mean, it is a platform for debate. So, yes, they've got the threads taking place on their platform, and that's got to be good for democracy. If I was managing the president in a professional sense as some sort of communications person, I wouldn't let him near it because it's. I
don't think they want. I don't think they have any control.
He obviously wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just has a brain fart, and there it is out in the world.
Yeah, Ariel.
Yes, I think as a business person, I would keep him on there too. It's hard to get rid of your number one newsmaker on a platform that relies on people breaking news on your platform. Absolutely. And then I guess even from a more ethical perspective, I understand that he is, promoting violence in various ways against individuals, against vulnerable groups like immigrants and Black Lives Matter protesters, etc., within America and now an entire country, North Korea. But he is still the elected leader of the country, and I don't know if it's the place for a private corporation to say he should not have speech on a platforms where he can speak to millions at one time.
All right, there is lots more of this in the podcast edition of Download This Show. It is available right now on whichever podcasting app you're using.